Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Kridentosti Abhadrani Vidunoti Sahasratam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So this morning I'm going to be summarizing chapter 17 of Canto 4. So before I do that, let me just offer prayers also, and then we can start. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Good morning, dear devotees. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to summarize this chapter from Srimad Bhagavatam and apply it for my own purification and in my own practical life. And please forgive me for any of my own interpretations while speaking on these verses and seeking your blessings too. So we are in Canto 4, Chapter 17, and this chapter is titled Maharaj Prithu Becomes Angry at the Earth. So right now we are in the pastime of Maharaj Prithu, right? That's where we are seeing. So in this chapter, there are about 4 sections. So the first section is text 1 through 7, where Vidura is questioning Maitreya Muni about Prithu Maharaj. And then texts 8 through 17, the earth in the form of a cow fearfully surrenders to Prithu Maharaj. Then we have texts 18 through 21, the earth in the form of a cow pleads with Maharaj Prithu. And then text 22 to 28 is Maharaj Prithu replies to the cow. And then the final section we have is 29 to 36, where the earth prays to Prithu Maharaj. Again, I'm just going to summarize this from Burijan Prabhu Surrender unto me, unveiling his lotus feet. So that's where I'm going to be reading from. So in the text 1 through 7, where Vidura is questioning Maitreya Muni about Prithu Maharaj, how the setting the scene is that when the professional reciters finished speaking, the king worshipped and rewarded them. So far we were listening, right, in the last chapter that the professional reciters were glorifying King Prithu. And then he satisfied and offered respects to them. And then what happened is everyone became pleased at heart. So after hearing of Prithu Maharaj's birth and future qualities and activities, this is the conversation, right, between Vidura and Maitreya Muni. So Vidura asked Maitreya the 5 questions. Why did the earth take the shape of a cow? Second question, when Maharaj Prithu milked her, who became the earth's calf? What was used as the milking pot? Third, how did Maharaj Prithu level the surface of the earth? Fourth question, why did Indra, king of heaven, steal the horse meant for Prithu Maharaj's 100 horse sacrifices? Fifth, after receiving instructions from Sanat Kumara, the greatest Vedic scholar, how did Maharaj Prithu apply that knowledge and attain his desired destination? So these were the 5 questions that were asked by Maitreya Muni. So then, Vidura is asking Maitreya Muni. And then, so what happens in response to that is that Maitreya Muni then starts narrating the story of King Prithu. And then he continues to say on that what happened exactly is that as soon as the coronation was completed of Maharaj Prithu, the citizens approached Maharaj Prathu, and they were really in a very bad shape, and they were starving. They were completely full of hunger, and they were like, "We are really in a desperate situation. We are really don't have enough food grains to support our living, right?" And so that's why they really pleaded him to help them out. So that was the verses like 4:17, 9 through 11 verses were explaining all of that. So in that time, I'll just go through the story and then I'll explain some of the realizations or even practical lessons for us. So when that happens, right, when the citizens are approaching Maharaj Prathu, so Maharaj Prathu sees that King Earth is, our Prithvi, Mother Earth is not doing her job. So that's when he approaches her and says that you are taking all the sacrifice in the form. How is she taking sacrifice? Because she's eating the grass, but then she's not providing milk as she's supposed to. So she's not doing her duty. So that's why, so he gets very angry at her that how come you are not providing what your responsibility is for the citizens? You are not doing that. And then he's really upset and he's going to hurt her at that time. So at that time, when Earth sees that Maharaj Prathu is coming after her, she immediately turns and takes the shape of a cow because she knows that cow is very sacred, and being one of the mothers, Maharaj Prathu is not going to hurt the cow. So she does that in order to protect herself. But in that, Maharaj Prathu again is not happy at all with her. And then he says that you are not doing your duty. So in that case, it is better that I kill you, right? And even feed your flesh to the people. So that's the extreme he goes to. So at that time, then Prithvi, again, Mother Earth, then completely surrenders and she says, please don't do this to me, please save me, I'm taking your full shelter. And in the last section, as we said earlier, right, she's offering all that glorification to Maharaj Prathu. So this is kind of the flow of this chapter with the different sections that we saw. And now let's go back and just take a look at some of the practical lessons, right, that even Srila Prabhupada is explaining to us in this section. So when in the first section, when it talks about citizens taking shelter of Maharaj Prathu, in that, Srila Prabhupada is explaining very nicely about the responsibility of the head of the state, right? What is the responsibility of a king? So he says that he's really bound to guide them in the development of proper values, ethics, prescribed duties, spiritual advancement, and see the quality or the responsibility of the king is not just to rule the kingdom administrative as we see it today, right? It is all about just administration. It is not that, but rather a king's duty is really even to look after the entire, right, even the spiritual advancement of the citizens. So that's the important part. And then Prabhupada goes on to explaining about how in Bhagavad Gita also it is given, right, all the teachings are given in Bhagavad Gita, and overall it has been passed on through generations. But now what happens is the monarchy is lost, Rajarishi, that is lost, and now it is completely democracy where people are voting for the government too. So this is like a whole different picture, and it doesn't really support the Vedic form of being the department head or being that leader, right? So that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada is explaining here. That was the first point, right? Like the responsibility of the head of the state. Then the second point, what Srila Prabhupada is also explaining during that conversation is also that the citizens, it really applies to anybody. A person can only listen to spiritual teachings when the basic needs are fulfilled. Like example here, the citizens were starving. They don't have enough food. They can't even sustain their basic needs. So at that point, if the king is going and preaching spiritual messages to them, nobody is going to listen because they are really not even, the basic needs are not met. So that applies to everybody, like even for us, right? When we are going to preach, if somebody is in extreme situation, like maybe somebody is in a position where it's a moment of grief, moment of, somebody has passed in their family, passed away, or maybe extreme where somebody is not even have a basic job to support their family. If they are in that extreme situation, they will not be open to listening to spiritual messages at that time. So we have to be very sensitive, I guess, what situation somebody is in or what position somebody is in, and then make sure that we support their basic needs at that time. I mean, based on, again, our capacity, right? Like, we cannot do everything, but so that's the classic example, right? When, there is any of the calamities that happen, like maybe it was the flood, or maybe it is an earthquake, or whatever it may be, any situation that happens. Have you noticed that even our ISKCON movement is very good about doing prasadam distribution? So that is very important. Even our temple is doing a prasadam distribution, so it's very important that we at least start with the basic, give them prasadam, and once that is fulfilled, and even through prasadam they are getting the spiritual benefits, right? So we just have to be very sensitive where somebody is at before we start like bombarding or loading them with spiritual messages. So that's a very nice preaching message here Srila Prabhupada is giving. And then moving on later on, Srila Prabhupada also explains about what is true compassion. When Mother Earth is surrendering to Prithu Maharaj, right, then he talks about a little bit about what is the true compassion. So see, in purport to text 26, Srila Prabhupada applauds compassionate, selfish action. So as far as this field of spiritual activities is concerned, when a devotee is self-satisfied and does not preach the glories of Krishna, he is not considered as a first-class devotee. A devotee who tries to preach, who has compassion upon innocent persons, who have no knowledge of Krishna, is a superior devotee. See, this is such an important topic. In his prayer to the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj said that he was not personally interested in liberation from this material world. Rather, he did not wish to be liberated from his material condition until all fallen souls were delivered. Even in the material world, if a person is not interested in others' welfare, he should be considered to be condemned by the personality of Godhead or his incarnation, like Prithu Maharaj. So, true compassion is when we are really looking after the welfare of everyone. Again, as I said earlier, like the basic needs, we have to look at that. But then, really, what is the highest level of compassion? Is that giving them Krishna consciousness. And then Srila Prabhupada also explains further in one of the texts, like I think it is 7, it goes on to explain that it is the decision of the Vaishnava, the pure devotee of the Lord. For himself, he has no problem, even if he has to stay in this world, because his only business is to remain in Krishna consciousness. So the Krishna consciousness person can even go to hell and still be happy. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement are not at all interested in so-called meditation in the Himalayas or the forest, where one will make only a show of meditation. Nor are they interested in opening many schools for yoga and meditation in the cities. Rather, every member of the Krishna consciousness movement is interested in going door to door to convince people about the teachings of Bhagavad Gita as it is the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And that is the purpose of the Hare Krishna movement. So very clearly, Srila Prabhupada is explaining what is true compassion, and as a members of this movement, what is our responsibility is really preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and going door to door, and the preaching movement, the Sankirtan movement. That is what we are all being asked to follow through, right? And then one of the next lesson, fourth one point I've taken down is the surrender on Krishna's terms and not on my terms. Okay, so when Mother Earth is surrendering, Srila Prabhupada is explaining in that also about the purport, about all the details about what is surrender, right? So continuing in his purport to text 30, Srila Prabhupada defines it as placing oneself under the mercy and protection of the Lord. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur sings, right, in his bhajan, My dear Lord, whatever I have, even my mind, the center of all material necessities, namely my home, my body, and whatever I have in connection with this body, I now surrender unto you. You are now completely independent to act however you like. If you like, you can kill me. And if you like, you can save me. In any case, I'm your eternal servant, and you have every right to do whatever you like. Such surrender devotees, Srila Prabhupada writes, consider themselves in Krishna's servants and act only for his pleasure. As Krishna is beyond the influence of matter, so are they. Srila Rupa Goswami says that the devotee who is always engaged in the devotional service of the Lord is always liberated, regardless of the material situation. And this is in the purport of 41729. So very important point, right, for us to also know that we know the six limbs of surrender, that, Krishna is my maintainer, Krishna is my protector. I'll do everything that is aligned with Krishna's desires and refrain from doing anything that is not, and complete surrender. But this is easy, again, as I said earlier, like it's easy to say the surrender part. It's a gradual process. And the more and more we have faith in Krishna, the more and more we are able to really give ourselves away to him. It is very easy, right? Like when things are all going super well with us, right? We don't even realize like what it is, but truly it is the time of those challenges, the difficulties, where our surrender is tested. Because at that time, are we going to say that, oh, I have been doing so much Krishna, then why is this happening to me? We won't say that. Like, see Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's that bhajana, Manasa Geho, Jo Ichatora Arpilo Duatare Nanda Kishora. That completely, it doesn't matter now what you do with me. I really do not care. I can be in this world, I can be in any world you would like, do whatever you want to do with me, but it's your desire. And, along these lines, I just remember that when I attended my Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja also this year, this message was very loud and clear actually about how Maharaj was mentioning about how even he has, he doesn't know how many more years he has, and the preaching message, it has to go on, and it is so strong and all that. So at that time also, he was saying that when difficulties come, right, we are always like, we do get flustered, right, when that happens. But he was saying that ultimately, if Krishna is having pleasure, if Krishna is happy, then what's our problem? Anything happens to us, as long as if Krishna is having fun, if Krishna is enjoying everything, that's about it. Because ultimately, that's where we are focused on. Is Krishna happy? Am I making Krishna happy? Right? That's about it. But again, it's a very high level, and it is not easy to be in that surrendered level at all. And then the last one, realization, I guess, or even teachings, preaching from this chapter, is regarding the inconceivable nature of the Lord, where in the last section it is explained that how Krishna, like a Mother Earth, is offering prayers to Prithu Maharaj, that you are the Lord, you are the one who really rescued me earlier in your earlier, the earlier time when Hiranyaksha was troubling Earth, and that's how Lord Varahadev helped her. So she knows all of it, and she completely surrenders and offers this beautiful prayer, and she says that you are just so inconceivable. So that's again that point about us, that we are never able to understand Krishna, what he is, right? Unless Krishna gives us that mercy, makes us be able to understand him, we are never able to understand him. But then again, we just continue with our prayers that we have been connected with such a beautiful, such a merciful Lord by somehow or the other, like some piety, or some, not piety really, right? It is really mercy of some other devotee that we got this opportunity to connect with this beautiful Lord. And then what a great opportunity that we are able to continue giving service, and then, just continue on this path. So again, beautiful chapter, a lot of lessons to learn from here. And again, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam